Saint Sheila.
Oh, in a time like this. Oh, in a time like this. Oh, I need the Lord to help me. God is good today, y'all. I'm full today from the choir, from care, after to bless. My heart is full. Can't wait to get the word from Pastor Caldwell. It's just good to be here, Pastor Hollis. Happy anniversary. Sister Hollis, happy anniversary to you also. I'm going to do just a little small amount of a song, and then I'm going to let Patrick play something. He had a tennis match at 3, so he's probably mad with me, but he's going to get there. But God is truly good, y'all. I'm just thankful. We ought to just be glad just to be here today. Give me you. Everything else can wait. Give me you. I hope I'm not too late. Lord, give me you. Lord, give me you. Lord, give me you. Lord, give me you. Just give me you. Everything else can wait. Give me you. I hope I'm not too late. Lord, give me you. Lord, give me you. Lord, give me you. Lord, give me you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, moving it out. I worship you. I worship you. I think somebody knows this. Oh, he's alive, my God. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise. Yeah. My God, that is who you are. He's alive, miracle worker, promise. My God. You are here. Lord, you're turning lives around. I'm gonna worship you. I worship you. You are here. Moving in our midst. Lord, I worship you. Oh, yes, God. I worship you. He's a way maker. No, from himself. He's a miracle worker. Promise keeper. Light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Oh.
Consider what we do to ourselves. And do you not know that there was some black preachers, there were some black pastors who had the unmitigated gall, they had the egregious guts and chitlins to say that Martin King was an outside agitator. But every now and then, as a preacher of the gospel, you don't come to make peace, but every now and then it's just good for a preacher to raise some hell. And let the clique, club, crew, and crowd know what the Bible says about your sinful actions. That's what got Paul in trouble. He was given inspiration in the midst of persecution. You know, he even calls his persecutors out. You got to check out what he calls them over in Timothy, and even in Acts, he says Demas has forsaken me. And I'm sorry, preachers, everybody's talking about who's my friend and who's my dog, who's my ride or die. And I ain't trying to be funny, you know. I know how Negroes are. I came to preach today, y'all. I know how folk are. I know how folk are. You know, people always got something to say about me, and I'm trying to figure out how you got so much to say about me, because whenever you see me, I'm by myself. And all I'm trying to say is that if you know anything about me, if you know anything about Hollis, you had to be with me. But I've learned that the best company you can have is the company between you and the Lord, because you're going to have some folk who will forsake you. You wondering how your business is on everybody's front porch? It's because you can't keep your mouth shut. You told your friend got a friend, her and his friend got a friend who has a friend, and before you know it, everybody knows your. But that ain't all. We got some intelligent Negroes now. We got folk now who they don't talk, but they text and they type. They sit there and they're inboxing and Facebooking and Instagramming, telling, oh! And so it is. If Paul can be forsaken, Hollis, what about you and I? Everybody that smiles in your face is not your friend. Johnny, I discovered that the same Negroes that pat me on the back are the same ones who will stab me in the back. Okay. Y'all trying to act brand new. I'm coming around the corner. Here I come. Because y'all want to act as if y'all been saved and sanctified all your life. The devil is a lie. Let me call out your business on today. I'm looking at some food. You know how it is. You went to the bar at happy hour. You bought everybody drinks. You made sure that everybody had top shelf drinks. And just as soon as you left the bar, after you had bought everybody drinks, here they are, the same ones you bought drinks for, begin to talk about you and say, look at her, look at him. He think he all that. And just because he bought me a drink don't make him my friend. You need to understand, child of God, that folk will forsake you. And these were folk, Hollis, folk, Jackson, that walked with Paul. Now, Demas ain't the only one. You had Alexander the coppersmith, who Paul said did me much harm. And I figured it out. I got it. I understand. That's why I'm encouraged. It is always the premise of my persecutors to misinterpret my passiveness. In other words, my persecutors take my meekness for weakness. But what they don't understand is that God has too much for me to do. God has too much for us to do to allow their pettiness to stop you from doing what the Lord has told you and the Holy Spirit has empowered you to do. Can I tell you how you handle your haters? You handle your haters with care. That's what Paul did. It's in your Bible as you tore it out. Paul understands that everybody in the church at Thessalonica is not his friends. But yet and still, he does not do like many of us would do. Knowing that we have some enemies enemies in the camp. No, Paul does not call them enemies. Paul does not call them demons and devils. Paul, does not curse them out nor tell them off. Here's what Paul does. Paul says, dear brothers and sisters, handle your haters with care, because you got to understand, child of God, you don't know what that sister has gone through. Her husband may not have came home on last night. He may have jumped on her. She may not have any grocery in the house. You don't know who told her that she would never amount to anything. Handle her with care. You don't know what that brother has gone through. You don't know what his wife is putting down. Handle them with care. You don't know what's going on with them between leaving home and getting to church. So handle them with care. And may I submit to you that when you handle them with care, it does more for you than it does for them. Because don't you ever think, child of God, that your enemy is ignorant of how they've treated you. And when you can smile in the face of adversity, when you can go see them and visit them when they are sick, when you can give them some money when they are broke, it heaps coals of fire upon their head, and they are wondering what is wrong with you. But what they don't understand is that you are controlled by a power that's larger than you. Handle them with care. And then Paul does something else that blows my mind. He handles the hurting with care. He aspires in the midst of persecution. But Paul promotes those who persecute him. Let's hear the text. He says, Glow, honor those who are your leaders in the Lord's work. Lord, help me. Because everybody who's your color is not your kind. Everybody who worships with you won't work with you. Everybody who shouts with you won't shout for you. Everybody who sits beside you are not standing up for you. You've got some people in your clique that you are going to have to learn how to promote them. Okay, I let you laugh this way. As quiet as it is kept, within the circles, within the sanctum of the sanctuary, within the society of believers known as Christianity, there is this word that is negative and nasty. It's not a four-letter word, but it's the word competition. It's because you have every church. You have the Methodists fighting the Baptists, and you have the Baptists fighting the Pentecostals, and as quiet as it is kept, and you don't have to say amen, just say ouch. All you got to do is wink your eye, and I'll ask God to forgive you if it's the truth. But as quiet as it is kept, there's a competition within the body of Christ. You got Antioch trying to outdo County Line. You got County Line trying to outdo Bethel. Y'all ain't got to say amen. I just need some real folk in the house. You got everybody trying to mimic everybody, trying to outdo everybody. And when I'm trying to figure out why are we competing when we on the same team, when I'm trying to figure out that if we are brothers and sisters, what I have, you have, and what you have, I have, and it's time for us to stop pulling apart and begin to pull together. Because how can you talk about you gonna walk around heaven all day? You can't work together down here. Shame on you. musician, my guitar player, none of y'all belong to me. All of y'all belong to the Lord. The Lord just allowed me to serve his people, and he's the chief shepherd. I'm the under shepherd. I didn't come to play, I came to preach. But in the body of Christ, you got some Negroes who are not going to like you just because they can. And don't you ever reduce yourself to their reality. You do like Paul did, and you encourage his or her folk to remember, to honor, and to respect them, even if you know that your counterpart won't do the same thing for you. Do y'all mind? Do y'all mind if I testify? I won't tell all my business. I'll just tell some, because I know we live, Sister Gita, in a small community, and I know that y'all will figure out who it is right quick. And so I'm gonna use what Negroes are famous for and use Codex. That's how we survive the nasty circumstances of slavery. We spoke in code. So that being said, I pastored a church, pastored people, and there was a preacher who came out of that church, and that particular preacher would go down to a local business, and every chance he had, he was a leader now, denominationally and a pastor, and he would get with members of mine, talk about me, give them schemes and tactics on how to destroy me. But that Negro didn't have enough sense to know that I knew how to talk to God. And so when I knew they were going to have a meeting on me, I had a meeting with God. And God met me at the meeting. And when I got to the meeting was dismissed because the people got up and said, y'all leave this man alone. Come here, somebody. When you learn how to promote folk, the same ones that try to hurt you will wind up blessing. And that's what I did. I go to his anniversary. I wouldn't take 25, brother. I'd take $100, $200, and I would give him more than his own folk gave to him. That ain't all. Oh no, that ain't all. No. That ain't all. When his car broke down. And he did not have transportation. Here comes the CNC&H. Ain't got no down payment, but that's all right. I didn't put him in a hoopty. I put him in a nice shiny ride that he's still riding around today. Why? Because I've learned how to promote my persecutors. And y'all think y'all gonna stop me from getting my blessing? You can hail me all you want to, talk about me, call me everything with a charm of God, but I'm still gonna bless you. Hollis, I'm trying to finish. Hollis, look, man, after all I've been through, lied on, followed, every known machination known to man, every evil tactic, it has been done from me to me. But I got some good news for you. It's the Bible. What they meant for evil, God worked it out from the good. So Paul promotes those who persecute him, though he knows that while he's writing from Corinth to Thessalonica, Paul is writing in Corinth. Corinth, the folk that said, you write well, but you can't preach. And how do you handle folk that criticize you and you serving them? Can I tell you how? You handle them the way I used to handle the club. Don't y'all look at me. Okay, I know why some couldn't say amen when I said the club, the juke joint. Okay, I got when the party was about over and I wasn't ready to go home. I mean, I was still doing the Smurf. I'm old school, y'all. I was still doing the Running Man. I would stop all of a sudden. And I tell everybody, don't stop, get it, don't stop, work. So all I'm trying to tell you, child of God, is when they try to stop you, when they throw stumbling blocks in your way, sing to yourself, don't stop, get it, don't stop, work. Because your enemy always wants to. Y'all like me brand new today. Matter of fact, some of y'all will leave today. Y'all will go to Montgomery. Y'all will go somewhere. Y'all be in the club with your old self, can barely put one leg in front of the other. Talking about some don't stop. So don't look brand new. If I had him, Doc, and Johnny and Richard and little Everett over there to begin to play the electric slide, everybody in the church would give up. Don't take what he does for granted. Because on any given night when he goes to bed, all of his members, those who give and those who don't give, those who come and those who don't come, those whom he sees regularly and those whom he does not see, they get in bed with him. Those who are in jail and those who are at home, those who are in hospitals, those who are in nursing homes, and those who are in good health, they all get in the bed with him. Some nights, Sister Hollis, it's not that he's angry with you. It's not that he does not want to be beside you. And you wonder why it is that he goes and sleeps in the recliner. You wonder why it is he does not want to be bothered. You wonder why it is he just simply wants to be alone. It's because he's carrying the load on his shoulder. And he does not want to transfer the load. He can't transfer the load to you because you have not been called. The matter that he's carrying is between he and the Lord he's working. And so what Paul suggests to the saints at Thessalonica is to always observe the work of your pastor. I get it. You think his work is only on Sunday morning. No. You think his work is only on Wednesday night. No. You think his work is only when he comes to see you when you are sick, marry you when you want to get married. No, his work is bigger than that. That pastor is praying for you when you don't even know that there's a problem on the horizon. That pastor is praying for you when you are not even praying for yourself. Observe their work. Don't criticize their work, because you do understand that he's God's man. He's not your man. Just because he don't do things the way you want him to do it, he does not need your commentary on what he's doing. The only commentary that he needs is the commentary and the influence of the Holy Spirit Keep your mouth off him. Keep your opinion to yourself and let him keep on working for the Lord, because God is instructing him on what to do for you. Not only observe their work, but acknowledge their worth. Show them great respect and wholehearted love. I like this because Hollis, Williams, Henderson, Oliver, Glover, Fagan, Davis, Jackson, other preachers in the house. There have been times that I've preached, that I've served, and I've left the church. Not any of y'all, so don't y'all get no ideas. But I've left service feeling like I was a nobody. I've seen my folk, not any of y'all, give more respect, more reverence to other preachers that they gave to me. I've seen my folk help a preacher who was wealthy and had no need for anything, but would let me go home with the same old blue suit, same old wore out Stacey Adams shoes, no phone in the house, no money in my pocket, and every dime they could keep from me, they would try to keep from me. And I would go home sometimes with my self-esteem totally detached, feeling like I was a poor mother's child, long way from home. Have y'all ever been there? Don't act brand new. Have you ever had circumstances that made you feel as if you were a nobody? So Paul says, acknowledge their worth, because it's a poor frog that won't praise his own pond. And any member that does not constantly, oh yeah, it's good for folk to come once a year and put on a show. Oh yeah, don't get mad. I mean, it's good to come once a year so you can be seen and have everybody thinking that you just love your pastor so much, when deep down inside everybody know you're the biggest hellraiser in the church. Wait. I don't need you in front of the crowd. It's an anniversary, I'm sorry, man. I need you when my back's against the wall. I need you when everybody's talking about me. I need you when I'm down. I need you when I'm in the mud.
Thank you, Lord.
Every now and then you want to walk up to your pastor and tell him, "Bro, Pastor, you the best preacher, whole wide world." You want to tell him, "Bro, Pastor, I can tell you've been studying and spending some time with the Lord, because you're saying some stuff, Pastor, that I've never heard before. Pastor, you are encouraging me. Pastor, I know you've been praying for me, because there are some things that I was going through, and those things have gotten better." Now you ought to acknowledge
Thank you, Lord. Thank you.
the worth of your pastor. I'm almost done. You ought to adhere to his warnings.
Thank you.
You ought to live peacefully
Right.
with your brothers and sisters. The worst thing that a pastor hates to see is when the fellowship of the saints has been fractured And people are raising more hell than they are praising the Lord. That pastor wants you to live like you know the Lord. Oh yes, he wants you to live as if you know who Jesus is. Yeah, Lord, and just in case somebody does not know who Jesus is, can y'all give me about 30 seconds to tell you who he is? He's Abraham's faith. He's Noah's rainbow. He's Ezekiel's will. He's David's shepherd. He's Jeremiah's fire. He's Joel's house falling in the valley. He's Moses burning bush. And I don't know who he is to you, but I can tell you what I heard. I heard he's a way out of nowhere. I heard he's a ladder to high mountains. I heard he's the fire extinguisher in a fiery trial. I heard he's a friend when you're friendless. I heard he's a doctor when you don't have insurance. I heard you walk with him up the left side of the mountain. But that's what I heard. But I need long enough to tell you not what I heard, but to tell you what I know. I know you'll be like them if you walk off and leave you. I know you'll put a song in your heart when you should be sad. I know he'll put his arms around you when everybody else walks off and leaves you. I know he'll encourage you when others discourage you. But that's not all I know. I know he's the baby born in Bethlehem. I know he was baptized by John. I know he survived the wilderness. I know he healed the sick, raised the dead, gave sight to the blind, he stammering tongue. I know he made the rain to walk. Oh, I know healed some folk who are in here today. But that's not all I know. I know Friday they placed a crown upon his shoulders. They masked him of Calvary, rugged brow. I know they hung him high, stretched him wide, and brought him low. Oh, I know on Friday he died. Everybody knows he died. Didn't he die on Calvary's cross? But that's not all I know. I know they laid him in a borrowed tomb. But you're always gonna let me here. One Sunday morning, he rose all down, he in his hand. And I want to ask you a question. Anybody know him? If you know him, say yeah. If you try him, say yeah. If you know him, But my God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all you can ask or imagine. I'm going to tell somebody, he'll be right there. He'll be there all the time. The pastor's desire. say amen. Amen again. Amen. Truly the Lord is in his holy temple. And the devil is mad right about now. Amen. We thank God for this message. We thank God for the messenger. And may God benedict and abide upon Pastor Caldwell, that he may continue to preach that he has preached up in here today. We thank God for him. We're not going to prolong the time. The time has been well spent.
Amen.
Sister Copeland.
At this time, I'm going to recognize our guests. Please stand. Y'all still, if you're still here, their boy, Davenport. At this time, still, if you leave a word, you still to say. You said it all.
I just want to remind everyone who is looking for work, please come to City Hall tomorrow morning, either Tuesday morning and get some cash for this. You're in need to make what, 17 or 18, $20 an hour, that's a lot of money. If you can afford the time off. Right now, we're not sure what some of these codes, what facilities they're running through these codes. I'm gonna get with the city administrator in the morning at 9, and whatever the state department hand down, that is what we will follow. So that's. What time is that was? 9 o'clock. I would get with him if Tuesday at 7, but by 9. I'll be with you. If you want to see me, I'm at City Hall almost 7 o'clock every morning, third up from Monday to Friday, okay? Okay, and Nikki said there's some flyers out in the quarry if you want to learn more about what's going on with the census. It's very important now. We don't want to lose a seat in Congress because of this, and if we don't want our seat to drop from 2023 down to 1,000, we will be in bad trouble, okay? And plus the fact, it will affect your Medicare, your Medicaid, and your food stamps also.
Like to have something to say? Jonathan Reed? Yeah. Okay. Well, Mayor Boy? I told you I'd be down there tomorrow, but I'm gonna tell you my hour right now. I can't come before 10, and I gotta leave before 2.
You're a good husband, Deacon Copeland. Amen. That's the way you do it, son. Amen. Before I bring Pastor Hollis up, I thank God for my wife who's with me. She's back there hiding somewhere. Where you at? Okay, there you go. Amen. I thank God for her. I thank God for my friend, Pastor Hollis. I just thank God for him. Yeah, he's been a friend. Yeah, when I get lonely and I need to hear a word from the Lord, I can call him.
All right.
And ask him, boy, what you talk about today? And here we go. I thank God for him. I thank God for kind of life. Amen. Thank you.
said anything other than we are grateful to God and also grateful to all of you. Whether you gave anything, we're grateful for your presence. The Lord has, and the Lord is, and I shall say this, has always taken care of those who belong to Him. And I believe His word that He would never forsake us. And He will never leave us. I need to do this before I let Sister Hollis come. I will do half of it and do the other half in the end. I just got through lecturing to a setting of pastors. And the late Dr. Will Gamble, after everybody got up, he said, "Young man, I need to see you, Hollis." And I said, "What for?" He said, "Just hold up just a minute." He said, "The Lord has shown me where you will succeed me at County Line." And it actually scared me, because County Line was filled with educators, and myself being a country boy who still say you is instead of you are, who still said that I have some aunts instead of aunts. And I never forget, my wife told me, she said, "You're going to have to change the way you talk." And I just looked at it and grinned. And Mama used to tell me, "Son, don't be an educated fool." And I always said this: you can take the country out of the boy out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the boy. And I went on and I met with Dr. Mike and Reverend. I was so afraid. I was so used to a smaller congregation. And I shared with him what Dr. Gamble had said. He said, "Son, you just need to pray." Then the next year, Dr. Gamble cornered me again and shared that same vision with me after the association. And then the next year, he did it again. And I was sure enough scared then. And then my niece called me one day. Sister Gamble was in Dothan. And Dr. Gamble had moved to Dothan. And I guess Dr. Gamble trusted me. He had somebody to bring him all the way up to Wells Fargo now. Wasn't then. And the teller called me from work, and I went out there and got his savings account books, his checking account books, because he didn't trust who had brought him from Dothan to the bank. And he said, "Son, when you come to Dothan, bring it back to me." Next day, Dr. Mike was going to Dothan, sent it by him. But I said all that to say this, and when I came to County Line, every morning I would turn off at 231 to come down the service road. I was overpowered by the presence of the Holy Spirit. Did everybody like me here? No. Some folks had already been given some words from some folks in Troy that I wasn't this and I wasn't that. But I wasn't worried about that. I learned that the church is all about prayer. Not about how we feel, how we think, but about prayer. And I know some of the members said I wasn't educated enough to be here. But the Lord kept me here. And I'm still here. And will be here until God decide to move. And I need to share this with you. And God will move you. all of this came about from praying. I said, Lord, I'm running to Gannett, Alabama on 2nd and 4th Sunday. I'm running to Fitzpatrick on 3rd Sunday. I'm running to Mount Olive in Greenville on 3rd Sundays. And then I end up at Morning Star 1st and 3rd. And one Sunday morning, I sat in the pulpit and I wiped tears. And I said, Lord, get me out of here. No preacher ought to get up on Sunday morning and have to go to church and worry about running into Satan. He ought to be able to run into some folks that want a word from the Lord. And that's what I found here at Counterline. As long as you give Counterline a word from the Lord, they're all right. But if you give them some mess now, they're not going to be all right. And it's all about a word from the Lord. Somebody says to me, so Reverend, this is your day. I told them this is the Lord's day. And my wife is here. Wife of almost 40 years.
Amen.
And if somebody offered me a Cadillac today, I would keep my Mercedes. Come on, say a word.
Now, trust me, when he gets the shop bill for the Mercedes, he second thinks it. But today, I am so delighted to have the opportunity to sit beside my husband after all these years. And whenever he came here, you know, Reverend Gamble was so awesome. And Sister Gamble and I thought, God, there's some awesome shoes to find, because if I wanted a friend, not a friend, but if I wanted somebody, because it's minister's wife, we go through. And who can the minister's wife talk to? Nobody.
Amen.
Nobody. That she can trust except for the Lord. But this one lady, I knew that from her stature, the way that she talked in our meetings, the way she carried herself, if I needed a confidant, she's the one that I would have chosen. And one day I almost called her, and she was sickly. And I said, Lord, I won't bother her. I won't bother her. But I'm so thankful that I could still see her walking out. Now I'm going to share I want to say two more things that I want to sit down. I know, right? I get to talk more in my older age. I'm almost wrong. I want to say, all of you are special. Love all of you. You see me, you know, whenever I need something, I will hit you up in a minute. I know, right? Old sister Hollis calling, what does she want? It's the only time I call when I want something. But I thank you for helping me and following through with me. But there's some folks from down where I grew up, where my family is buried. And I want to say, Deacon Willie James, like, hey there, what we got your name, cousin? From Clay Hill Missionary Baptist Church. I'm so thankful to see him and my cousin, Sister Lucille, and then Sister Hampton. So glad to go through and see them. So it's always good to see someone who comes from where you once was, and that's just such amazing. I love them to death. I love their family. I love family. The second thing that I want to go through and share is that, you know, today is Reverend Hollis' pastor's anniversary. And if you don't figure it out, I have figured it out that this is Reverend Hollis' ministry, and he is my husband. So I support him. But so I'm so thankful that, I'm thankful that you think of me, but you really don't have to. I don't want to take away his thunder. I don't want to say that I'm in whatever with his day. Trust me, he will take care of me.
Why don't you hush then?
But tomorrow is my birthday. Tomorrow share the same birthday. We even went to the same school, so we were really awesome.
Me and Larry in the same trouble.
But again, I just want to say that thank you. And I realize my place that I am just the pastor's wife, so I will now have seats.
We thank God for Sister Hollis, and every pastor, if you're married, you need a good wife.
Thank you, sir.
One that you don't have to worry about. Sister Hollis is very independent. We differ in a lot of things. I want her to ride an Altima. She had to have a Maxima. And she said, well, I may get me a Mercedes. I said, folks don't buy Mercedes to run up down the road. You have to wait till you retire. But we thank God for, I thank God for my wife. And she has been there, I'll never forget. And I've had some sick days. I hear that song, I've had some good days.
Yes, Lord.
Some bad days.
Yes, sir.
I heard Reverend Caldwell tonight, this evening, talking about the pastor being isolated to a certain degree. And if you are God's preacher,
Yes, sir.
sometimes you have to get away from even family
That's right.
for God to speak to you,
Amen.
so you can speak to his people.
That's right.
And every pastor don't have a sweet message. There are pastors that God called to preach message of judgment, messages of doom. But we pray that God will let us preach his word with power. All preachers, Reverend Burks, raise your hand from Oak Grove and Clayton. We're so glad to see you. We've been blessed to teach a class on Monday night for Sanford University, and we just got through with a class. Reverend Caldwell and I were sharing some things about a week ago, dealing with the origins and interpretations of the Synoptic Gospel. And we have sometimes 12, 16 students in that class every Monday night, and that class really helps me. The books help me, the courses help me, because I'm learning, as old as I am, we will never learn everything that we didn't know about the Lord. But in here, the Lord gave us what we need to get from earth to heaven. And we'll just live by this. Are we going to make mistakes? Yes. Are we going to fail tests? Yes. But the danger is when we continue to fail tests and make mistakes. We ought to learn from our mistake. God is forgiving, but we shall not play with him. Amen. We thank God for all the preachers. Reverend Ware, here from Columbus, preached for us this morning, and we went to school together at Troy U. Sister Brown, stand up, because he said he couldn't remember your face. Sister Macy was majoring in nursing, and she was like a mother to all of us on campus. And I told Lex the last time I went to the nurse home to see him, I said, she's still trying to boss us. But we thank God for Sister Brown and Brother Ware, our classmates in college. And we thank God for all of you. Pastor Oliver, I didn't make it to your anniversary because I was over there with Pastor Burks at Oak Grove. And I normally don't miss my pastor's anniversary, but preaching comes first. Amen. And we understand that. Reverend Caldwell, I miss your youth revival because I was lazy. And been preaching Reverend Caldwell every afternoon for the last month. This is the first afternoon we have free before we have to go back to work. I may not be around here, but the Lord got me somewhere. Amen. And I remember that a prophet is without honor in his own time. Some of you say you know too much about me. We know too much about each other. Because you used to be on the floor talking about bump no more with no big fat woman. You've been there. And some of you don't believe God changes folk. I'm going to share this with you and I'm going to sit down. God done something for me. I didn't order it, but he did. Do you believe that I played middle school basketball and was real good? One game we played against Dothan, we had 35 points. Henry and I had 33 of them. Then I played high school ball. They say I was pretty good. Say I averaged 29 points a game and 19 rebounds and 6 block shots. They say I was pretty good. Came over to Troy State, and they said I was pretty good. Broke the record, reset the scoring record, and free agent Indiana Pacers got cut. Drove all the way down that highway home. They say I was pretty good. Got me a job at Charles Henderson, became coach of the year, so they say I was pretty good. But guess what God has done for me? I don't give a damn. That's what I do, God. I love basketball.